Alright, welcome back to the vlog log and to the Victory Arch. It's obviously a really beautiful, giant, monumental piece of architecture. Before we look at that, let's take a look at this fountain behind me. So, you can see here we see the Lao flag and the Chinese flag respectively in 3 languages. In English it says grant aid from the government and the people of PR China as a token of friendship and cooperation between our China, PR China, and the Lao PDR. So, Lao and China have a long history together, obviously, and today China is one of the largest investors in the development of Lao, and so that relationship continues. To be honest, I don't know a ton about the history of Lao or even what's going on in Lao at the present moment. As we walk to the arch, I'll tell you what it's been like for me in Lao. The longest time I spent in Lao was a couple years ago. I took a slow boat down the Mekong River, which is one way to get from Thailand to Lao, and that was a real treat. I highly recommend it if you get the chance. I was able to meet a lot of local Lao people, and I arrived in a town called Luang Prabang, which is one of the most beautiful cities that I've ever seen in my life. Really small, really cozy, but also very well developed. It's a World Heritage Site listed by UNESCO. And then from there I went down to Vientiane, which is much more known as a tourist town, and that's pretty much what it is, but the area around it is actually quite nice. So before we get too close, I'll let you soak in the full architecture of the Victory Monument. Now, like I said, I'm not great on the history of Lao, but I do believe that the Victory Monument was built by the French, or at the commission of the French, during the colonial era. You can see there are 2 pillars on either side of this arch, and those are very European. I'm not any kind of architecture expert, but I do believe that's a European tradition. Joachim and Boaz, if you know anything about that. If not, don't worry about it. So, and I'll show you exactly how ignorant I am. I'm pretty sure there's a Victory Arch in France as well, but I don't really know. Okay, so I'm not gonna, instead of talking about the history, I'm gonna try and describe just what I'm seeing and speculate about the symbolism. So here at the top of the 2 pillars and at the top of the arch, we see a Southeast Asian, 3 actually different humanoid figures. The one in the middle, if you can't tell from this view, it seems like his legs turn into something like tentacles. He's holding a couple items in his hand, and on either side we see 2 guys who look more like Thai Buddhas that we traditionally see. They all have, you know, Buddhist semblances about them. But I think when you look at architecture like this with a religious connotation, it's really important to consider the numbers. And as I'm walking and trying not to run into people, I'm having a hard time explaining what maybe my theories might be. Looks like there's an elephant underneath that central Buddha over here. And we actually can notice there's 2 more figures underneath the seated Buddhas above. So we've got a total of 5 Buddhas guarding the entrance to this gate. And as we come inside, we see that there's 2 more angel, half bird, half human kind of looking things. And then we have a series, a pattern of Buddhas set into the wall. So you can count them up. There's 4 rows, and then it goes 9 across. 4 times 9 is 36. And there's 4 actually. There's another one, same thing over here. So what is that? 152? 36 times 4? Alright, and as we get into the middle, now you can see that looking straight up there is a really splendid display of Southeast Asian art, religious art, clearly Buddhist art. So like directly in front of us, there's a seated white Buddha with 2 friends on either side of him. 6 arms, holding different symbols. Looks like a serpent, a ring, a flask. Okay, and then if we turn the other way, I'll take a look at this guy. This one's green. And again, with two friends, he only has 4 arms. He's holding a trident, another ring, looks like it might be a feather, and he's seated on a serpent, actually. Okay, now we look over here, and we see that this is, I actually believe that is named, that face in the middle is the face of a demon named Rahu, who eats the moon, and that sort of explains solar eclipses. I could be wrong. He's got a couple friends alongside of him as well, holding, what are those things called that Raphael and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle used? Sais? I think they're called sais. A couple of short swords. They have got tiger faces as well. And one more over here. We have a greenish or maybe even black Buddha seated on a 3-headed elephant, and he's got 4 friends around him. So, taking note of this symbolism, I wouldn't be surprised if this is in reference to the 4 seasons, to the 4 directions, and we can also see that all around are these figures, less colorful figures, but very animated figures, engaged in different kinds of acts. One looks like he's breathing fire, a few look like they're fighting, some of them look like they're dancing. So I'm going to go ahead and take a shot at interpreting this symbolism. I'm going to say that directly overhead represents the purest form of reality, just a simple lotus bottom. Not very simple, actually, it's quite complex. And these 4 main figures overhead might represent something like the divinities which rule the 4 seasons, or the 4 corners of the world. And then on the outside we have depictions of life. By the way, these people are half fish, half animals, and I think that represents a connection to our baser instincts, our baser reality. When you purify yourself, then you can ascend and become more like one of these superhuman figures with multiple arms, and attended by fearsome guardians. So yeah, that is the ceiling of the Victory Arch here in Vientiane, and my amateurish representation. So you can actually walk up and take a look around. I'm not going to do it right now because I lost a lot of money earlier today and I don't feel like spending any extra. And look, fortunately there's a little bit of history for us to check out. Take a quick look quick. At the northeastern end of the Lanjiang Avenue arises a huge structure resembling the Arc de Triomphe. So that's the one in France, I was right. It is the Bouteille, or the Victory Gate of Vientiane, built in 1962. That's the Buddhist year, 2505, but never completed due to the country's turbulent history. From a closer distance, it appears even less impressive, like a monster of concrete. I guess so. I think it's pretty cool. Nowadays, this place is used as leisure ground for the people of Vientiane, and the 7th floor on top of the building serves as an excellent viewpoint over the city. All right, so there you go. That's when it was built, and that's who built it. And it opens up over here to a beautiful park I showed you before. The fountain on the other side looks really nice, coming through the arches over here. It's delightful. So like I said in my earlier video, I've had not a great day, but doing things like this, just sort of stepping outside of your own concerns and pressures at the moment and appreciating the beauty around you, it's really easy to do in a city like this and in a part of the world like this. So I'm glad that I get to visit this city one more time before I return home in a couple months. Hopefully, if I'm not stuck in Laos indefinitely, I'll be fine. Yeah, that's about it. So I hope wherever you are, you take a moment to appreciate what's beautiful around you. Wow, it's deep stuff. All right, that's enough, isn't it? Wherever you are, have a great one. Peace.